I never thought something as simple as an oil could change my mornings. For years, every step I took around the house was a battle. I would get up with effort, holding onto the edge of the bed, hoping the pain in my knees wasn't as strong as the day before. But it was always the same, or even worse. It wasn't just the pain. It was the feeling that my body no longer belonged to me. I had tried everything: painkillers, creams, braces, even exercises that promised to relieve the discomfort. Some helped a little, others did nothing. But the pain always came back, like a shadow that refused to leave. Until one day, without much expectation, I tried something different. A friend told me about Arnica oil. He told me to apply it to my knees, to do it calmly, every day for a few minutes. I had nothing to lose, so I tried it. And after 4 days, something changed. It wasn't a miracle. Everything didn't disappear all at once. But that morning stiffness no longer trapped me in bed. Those first steps, which used to hurt like blades, were now gentler. And most importantly, I felt like I had regained a bit of my independence, my hope. Maybe you are going through something similar. Maybe your knees hurt when climbing stairs, or you struggle to walk without stopping every now and then. If so, stay with me. Because I want to tell you what I discovered, how I used it, and why I believe this simple oil can make a difference in your life. And before continuing, I want to know something about you. Do you also suffer from knee pain? How old are you? And where are you listening from? Your story matters, and I would love to read it in the comments. The silent pain that changes your life. There are pains that scream and others that whisper. But those that whisper, when they stay too long with you, end up stealing your life quietly. This is knee pain for many older people. It doesn't come suddenly. It settles slowly. At first, it's just a discomfort when you bend down. Then, a sharp sting when you climb stairs. Later, you realize you've started avoiding certain movements for fear of that sharp, persistent, exhausting pain. I remember the moment I realized something had changed. It was an ordinary morning. I wanted to go to the kitchen to make myself a coffee. Just that. I got up, placed my feet on the floor, and there it was again. That sharp pain on the inner part of my right knee, as if something broke every time I tried to stand. I took a few steps, and before reaching the coffee maker, I had to stop, lean my hands on the counter, and wait. Breathe. Wait for it to pass. At that moment, I understood. I couldn't even walk to the kitchen without stopping. And I'm not the only one. Mary, 78 years old, told me recently, "I used to love going to the park with my grandchildren. Now just seeing them run makes me sad, because I know I can't keep up." Louis, 83, retired carpenter. "I have a workbench in the yard. I see it from the window. I haven't gone near it for 2 years. I'm embarrassed to sit there knowing I won't be able to get up without help." Knee pain doesn't just affect the body. It sneaks into the mind. It makes you doubt, avoid, and fear. Little by little, you do less, walk less, greet less, live less. And the worst part is many believe it's a normal part of aging, that you have to accept it, that nothing can be done. But that's not true. Because when something interferes with your freedom, your mobility, your daily joy, you shouldn't accept it without a fight. Why knees hurt with age. As the years go by, the body changes. We all know that. But when it comes to knees, those changes are deeper than we imagine. And understanding what happens can make the difference between resigning yourself or taking action. Knees are one of the most complex and most stressed joints in the body. They accompany us in every step, every movement. They support our weight, bend, twist, cushion, and hold. But inside, they are made of delicate parts. The cartilage, for example. It's a soft, resistant layer that covers the ends of bones, allowing them to slide over each other without friction. Over the years, that cartilage wears down. It's no longer as smooth, firm, or protective. When it becomes too thin or breaks, the bones begin to rub directly, and that's when the pain starts. Then there's synovial fluid. It's like the oil that lubricates the joint, allowing it to move smoothly. Over time, this fluid can decrease or change in consistency. It no longer performs its function as before. The knee becomes stiffer, drier, more vulnerable. Add to this the weight factor. Every extra pound multiplies the pressure on the knees, and when we don't move enough, the muscles around them weaken, leaving the joint even less protected. It's a vicious cycle. It hurts, so you don't walk. You don't walk, so it hurts more. But here comes the most important point. No, it's not normal to live in pain. It's not normal to wake up every morning afraid to put your feet on the floor. It's not natural to resign yourself to pain just because you've reached a certain age. There is a widespread myth among older people. It's part of aging. Nothing can be done. But that's not true. The wear can be real, yes. So is the pain. But there are ways to relieve it, improve, and recover some of that lost mobility. And among all those ways, there is one that many have forgotten or never tried: natural remedies that respect the body and stimulate its healing. What we tried first and doesn't always work. When the pain appears, the first thing we do is look for something to turn it off. Pills, creams, ointments with hard-to-pronounce names. We go to the doctor, come out with a prescription. Sometimes it works. The pain lowers a bit, or disappears for a few hours, but then it returns. And then we take another pill, and then another. Many of us have lived like this for years. Ibuprofen, acetaminophen, diclofenac. At first they relieve, but over time, the body gets used to them. And what once calmed no longer works. Then the doctor increases the dose, and then other problems begin. Because those pills don't just reach the knee. They pass through the stomach, liver, kidneys. They take away one pain and leave another. Gastritis, dizziness, fluid retention, and worst of all, the feeling that you need those pills just to do simple things like walk to the bathroom or make the bed. Then come the pharmaceutical creams, some warm, others cool. Some say they help, but most of us feel only a tingling and nothing more. After 15 minutes, the pain is still there, as if we had done nothing. And in more advanced cases, injections arrive. Injections in the joint, with corticosteroids or hyaluronic acid. Procedures that promise relief, but also have a high price, discomfort, risk, and an improvement that in many cases lasts a short time. In the end, you sit and ask yourself, is it worth filling my body with chemicals just to walk without pain? That was where I found myself. I didn't want to depend on pills. I didn't want to become a list of side effects. I wanted to find something kinder, more natural, something that didn't just cover up the pain, but helped the body work better again. And that's when someone told me about Arnica oil. A simple name, a plant that grows in the mountains, a remedy that for centuries has been used to calm bruises, inflammations, and muscle pain. In the next part, I want to tell you how I came to try it, and why it was so different from everything before. The discovery of Arnica oil. I didn't grow up trusting natural remedies. Like many, I thought that if something didn't come in a pharmacy box, it couldn't be effective. But over the years, with every new bottle that did nothing for my pain, that idea began to shake. It was a neighbor who first told me about Arnica oil. Her name is Teresa. She is 79 years old, and she walks every day around the neighborhood. I saw her one day climbing the stairs of her house with an agility I silently envied. I asked her what she did to move like that. She looked at me, smiled, and said, "Arnica oil, every night. That's all." It sounded strange to me. Arnica? I had never heard of it. So I started asking, reading, researching. Arnica is a plant that grows in mountainous areas, especially in Europe and North America. It has yellow flowers, similar to daisies, but with a strong, almost menthol-like scent. For centuries, the peoples living near where it grows have used it as natural medicine. It was used to calm bruises, sprains, muscle pain after a hard day working in the fields. Grandparents put it in alcohol or mixed it with vegetable oils. They rubbed the affected area, and soon the discomfort lessened. It wasn't witchcraft. It was ancient knowledge. It was the wisdom of those who observed nature patiently. Today, Arnica oil is found in herbal shops and natural stores. It's not expensive. It doesn't require a prescription. But its effectiveness depends, like everything, on how it's used. I remember the first time I applied it. It was at night. The bottle was small, the liquid slightly thick. It had a strong but not unpleasant aroma. I rubbed the oil on my knees with slow movements, just as Teresa told me. I waited, and to be honest, I didn't feel anything extraordinary. I thought, another try, another promise that won't be fulfilled. But it wasn't like that. What happened in the following days made me change my mind. Not suddenly, not with fireworks, but with clear signs. The first 4 days. When you've dealt with the same pain for years, learning not to expect too much becomes a kind of defense mechanism. That's why that first night, while rubbing Arnica oil on my knees, I didn't get my hopes up. Day 1. I warmed a few drops between my palms and began to massage gently. I was surprised at how quickly the skin absorbed it. The scent was intense, like a mix of mint and damp earth. I closed my eyes and focused on the movement of my hands. I didn't expect miracles, but there was something comforting in simply taking care of myself patiently. After a few minutes, I noticed a slight warmth in the area. It wasn't burning, more like a kind of mild tingling, as if something had been activated inside. I slept better that night, though I still found it hard to turn in bed. Day 2. I repeated the ritual in the morning. This time I added a bit more oil and was firmer with the massage. I took my time. After all, why rush? When I finished, I got up to go to the kitchen and noticed I could put my right foot down with a bit more firmness. The pain was still there, yes, but not as sharp, like it had dulled. It was just one step, but a different one. Day 3. That morning, the change was clearer. I no longer had to hold onto the edge of the bed so much. The stiffness in my knees upon waking was less. I got up more easily. I even walked to the door to see the garden without stopping halfway. Throughout the day, I was more aware of every movement. I went down to the corner store without a cane, though I carried it in my hand just in case. I climbed the 2 entrance steps without whispering complaints. I listened to myself quietly. My body was telling me something, and this time, it wasn't pain. Day 4. The relief was no longer just a sensation. It was a real difference. I noticed it when I got up from the sofa without the usual slow twist that took me half a minute. I felt it when I bent my leg to tie my shoes. I confirmed it when I realized that, for the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about my knees all day. The pain hadn't disappeared, but it no longer dominated my routine. It was as if the Arnica oil was helping me recover something I thought lost. Confidence in my body. I didn't dare say I was cured, but I knew at that moment that something was working. That change was possible, and maybe this time, I didn't have to give up so quickly. How to apply the oil correctly. Using an oil is not just rubbing it on the skin and expecting a miracle. Over time, I learned that how you apply it, the time of day, and even your attitude while doing it, all influence. Arnica works best when given the space and attention it needs. It's not about slapping it on quickly like any cream. It's about creating a moment with yourself, almost like a small self-care ritual. The first thing I discovered was exactly where to apply it. Knees don't just hurt in one spot. Sometimes the pain comes from the side, other times from the front, and many people feel it behind, right in the crease. That's why when I apply Arnica oil, I cover the whole joint. I start at the front, where the kneecap protrudes. Then I move to the sides, right where the tendons feel tighter. And I finish at the back, with slow movements over that soft area that usually accumulates stiffness. I use just a few drops. There's no need to soak the skin. The important thing is not the amount, but how you massage it. At first, my hands were tense. I squeezed unintentionally, but I learned the key is gentleness. I place my open palm on the skin and with slow, circular, steady movements, Let the oil absorb little by little. Sometimes I use just the fingertips, especially around the edges where the bone is closer to the skin. This massage should not hurt. In fact, it should relax. You can even close your eyes while doing it and pay attention to your breathing. That little moment can become one of the calmest of the day. It's also important when to do it. I do it twice a day. In the morning, right after waking, before putting my feet on the floor. This helps prepare the knees for the day's movement. And at night, before going to bed, when the muscles are tired and the body needs rest. It's like telling the knees, "Thank you for today. Tomorrow we continue." Applied with patience, Arnica oil not only relieves, it connects you with yourself. And in old age, regaining that connection is as valuable as regaining movement. What science says about Arnica. There are those who distrust natural remedies, as if they were less valid just because they don't come in a pharmacy box. But the truth is that Arnica is not only a popular tradition, it has also been studied by science. In recent years, various researchers have analyzed this mountain plant and its effects on pain, inflammation, and muscle recovery. And the results, while not promising miracles, do offer reasons to believe it is doing something real in our bodies. One of Arnica's most important components is heleniline, a substance that has shown potent anti-inflammatory properties. Studies published in medical journals have observed that Arnica, applied on the skin as oil or gel, can reduce swelling and soothe muscle discomfort in people with mild or moderate osteoarthritis. In a clinical trial conducted with older adults suffering from chronic knee pain, those who applied Arnica twice a day for 3 weeks reported improved mobility and a significant reduction in pain compared to those who did not use it. It wasn't a complete cure, but it was a tangible improvement, without major side effects. Compared to other natural remedies like turmeric or menthol, Arnica shows something interesting. While turmeric mainly works from inside the body as an anti-inflammatory supplement, and menthol produces a temporary cooling sensation without changing the underlying problem, Arnica works directly on the affected area. It doesn't numb or disguise, it calms from the root, little by little, without anesthetizing. But it's also important to tell the whole truth. It's not magic. Not everyone will feel the same effect. Some will need weeks to notice improvements, others days. And in severe cases, where there is deep structural damage, oil cannot repair what only medical treatment can fix. Also, scientists warn it should not be applied on open wounds, nor used excessively. It should never be ingested. Oral Arnica can be toxic unless specially formulated. What science tells us is clear. Arnica works, but not like a miracle. It works as an ally, one that, well used, can add a lot, especially when we want gentler, less aggressive solutions that allow us to recover something we thought lost: movement and hope. Important warnings you should know. When something starts to relieve you, it's easy to get carried away by enthusiasm. But even natural remedies deserve respect. And Arnica is no exception. Although it's a plant with powerful properties, it also has limits. Not all skin tolerates it the same, and not everyone can use it without care. That's why, before making it part of your routine, there are some warnings you need to know. First, it must not be applied on open wounds. Arnica can be irritating if it comes into direct contact with blood or exposed tissues. If you have any scrape, sore, or ulcer on or near your knee, wait for it to heal completely before using the oil. Using it on broken skin can cause burning, redness, and worsen the situation. It's also not recommended for very sensitive or irritated skin. If you've ever had allergic reactions to botanical products or similar plants, like daisies, it's better to do a patch test first. Apply a small drop on your forearm and wait 24 hours. If no reaction appears, you can use it with more confidence. Another important warning: Arnica is not to be ingested. There are homeopathic products with minimal doses used under supervision, but Arnica oil itself should never be taken orally. It can be toxic, causing nausea, vomiting, or more serious problems if consumed uncontrolled. It is always applied externally and locally. As for side effects, they are rare but possible. If the oil is overused by applying it many times a day, or if left on the skin for many hours without washing, irritation, redness, or dryness can appear. That's why it's better to use it. In moderation, once or twice a day, in the right amount. And finally, a warning few people consider. Not all Arnica oils sold are the same. Always look for oils that are pure and natural in origin. Read the labels. Avoid those with many artificial ingredients, synthetic fragrances, or strong alcohols. The oil should be based on Arnica montana, mixed with a gentle vegetable oil like olive, almond, or sunflower. The simpler, the better. A good oil doesn't need adornments. If when opening the bottle it smells clean, herbal, and doesn't irritate on contact, you're probably looking at a quality product. How to make your own Arnica oil at home, if you want. Sometimes the most powerful things are also the simplest. And if you have a bit of patience, you can prepare your own Arnica oil at home. You don't need labs or complicated formulas, just natural ingredients, time, and care. The first thing you'll need is dried Arnica montana flowers. You can find them at trusted herbal shops or natural stores. Make sure they're well dried and mold-free. The flower should keep its golden yellow color with a soft but herbal scent. The next step is choosing a base oil. You have several options, but the most recommended are extra virgin olive oil and sweet almond oil. Both are gentle on the skin, absorb well, and help carry the active principles of Arnica inside the body. Now here's the recipe. In a clean, dry glass jar, add about 2 parts dried flowers for each 1 part base oil. Stir with a wooden spoon or simply shake carefully. Close the jar and place it in a warm, dark place. It can be inside a kitchen cabinet or in a cardboard box, away from direct sunlight. This jar should rest for at least 4 weeks. During that time, you can gently move it once a day to help the plant's essential oils slowly release into the carrier oil. After those 4 weeks, it's time to strain. Use a fine gauze or clean strainer to separate the flowers from the oil. Squeeze well to extract every drop. Then, store the filtered oil in a dark jar, preferably amber glass, to protect it from light. You can keep it in a cool place for up to 6 months, and if you feel like it, you can personalize it. For a more refreshing effect, add a few drops of peppermint essential oil. If you prefer a more relaxing scent, a few drops of lavender can be ideal. And if you want to boost the anti-inflammatory effect, a pinch of turmeric powder inside the jar from day 1 can add benefits. This oil isn't only useful for knees. You can use it on ankles, lower back, shoulders, as long as there are no open wounds or irritation. Making your own remedy has something special. Not only do you know what you're using, but you also feel you're doing something for yourself, with your own hands. And in old age, that gesture of self-care is worth more than it seems. In the next part, I want to close this journey with you, because beyond pain and relief, there is something I learned by reconnecting with the simple act of walking without fear. Sometimes, what brings back the joy of walking doesn't come in a pill, it comes in a plant. For years, I thought knee pain was an inevitable sentence, that at a certain age you simply had to accept it, that living with discomfort, stiffness, and fear of movement was part of aging. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'm not saying everything disappeared overnight. I'm not trying to sell you illusions. What I'm telling you here is something simpler and deeper. There are small tools that can make a big difference in your daily life. Arnica oil didn't change my life like a miracle would. It changed it like a good habit would. It helped me regain confidence, move with less fear, walk down the hallway again without stopping, look at the garden and decide, without overthinking, to go water it. Because in the end, don't let pain take away the small joys of each day. The sound of your footsteps in the morning, the short walk to the store, the simple act of getting up without a grimace. All of that is also health. It's also life. And if you are listening to this with pain as a constant companion, I want you to know you're not alone. There are paths that can still help you. Gentle, natural paths that respect your body. If you try Arnica oil, tell me how it goes.
Your story can help someone else. And
it could be the spark another person needs to believe again that relief is possible. And if you already use it, tell me since when. And if you also started walking with less pain again. Because here we're not just talking, we're here to support each other. Thank you for staying until the end. Thank you for continuing to seek well-being, even when the road has been long. Remember, it's never too late. Never too late to feel a little better.